There is something you should be doing, but you never get around to it. Not due to a lack of education or time constraints. Nothing comes out of you. Not to mention the fact that it's eating away at you emotionally.
Welcome.
Something existed in feudal Japan that the samurai dreaded even more than death. The blade belonged to the adversary. In combat, it was not a loss. It was something stealthier and more dangerous. They referred to it as Udan, which means carelessness or the lack of attentiveness. Are you aware of what is terrifying? Udan refrained from attacking the defenseless. The unprepared were not assaulted by him. People who had already accomplished something were the ones he targeted. Individuals who relaxed their defenses. Individuals who believed, I've already arrived. And that's not all. To fight this, the samurai evolved a unique philosophy, an incredibly powerful idea that can be used to cut through uncertainty. Same thing, the capacity to take decisive action in order to put information into practice. This is the tale of T-shirt, a young guy who lived out his lifelong ambition, but nearly lost it all due to an unforgivable error. An error that you may unknowingly commit on a daily basis. Part 1. Getting to the top. A samurai was the first thing T-shirt saw when he was 12 years old. The setting wasn't a grand war. A common morning found the warrior pausing at the well of the village to replenish his fluids. He walked with an unusual gait. Each motion served a specific function. Decades of discipline were embedded in every movement. T-shirt made up his mind to become a samurai right then and there. Choice, however, is simple. A consensus is reached. The subsequent events were what made a difference. When T-shirt woke up, it would be far before dawn. To the point that his hands bled, he would train. His eyes would burn from staring at strategies all day. As the other boys played, he honed his kata skills. He reflected about Suinsu's and Miyamoto Musashi's lessons as the others slept. After a span of 3 years, an extraordinary event transpired. T-shirt joined Master Yamada's sword school, widely regarded as the best in the province, when he was 15 years old. Keep in mind that just 5 pupils were admitted per generation. Among them was T-shirt. The training was quite hard. Getting up at 4 in the morning, meditating in the snow, fighting till he passed out. Because he was determined, T-shirt persevered. Hunger gripped him. He aspired to greater things. It wasn't merely about becoming a samurai. To lead armies was the purpose. His goal was to earn Daimo's regard as a strategist and advisor. T-shirt earned his degree when he was 18 years old. There was strength in the simplicity of the ceremony. He was presented with the samurai symbols, the katana and wakiashi, by Master Yamada. It is your right to use these blades, the master declared. T-shirt overheard the words, but remember, the real battle begins now. The battle against yourself. But he paid them no mind ever since. Chapter 2's. Do you know the difference? This is what's left. T-shirt kept to his regimen for the initial 3 months. He rose at the crack of dawn. He exercised. He read up. However, a shift started to occur. Something understated, something perilous. Now, he was getting paid. Respect was something he easily possessed. The title was with him. Samurai T-shirt was the name he was known by. Did he not succeed? Tomorrow I will train, he started to say. I need a day off today. A week grew out of a single day. Months went by in the span of a week. While he did not miss any of the required group training sessions, he no longer made an effort for supplemental training, strategy research, or continuous development. The oldest trap in the world was T-shirt's downfall. He equated doing well with getting somewhere. He mistakenly believed that when he crossed the finish line, the race was over. This is called Udan in Japanese, posed with the kanji meaning lubricate and slice. If you're not careful, your focus and alertness will dwindle like oil. You unwittingly let go of the reins. The threat of Udan is most apparent here. Udan speaks in a low, whispered voice. This does not seem to be a case of plain, old sloth. It seems to be valid reasons. I've done enough training. You should give me a break. I have demonstrated my value. Rest assured, I am not implying that you are unable to perform this task. Absolutely, you ought to. Being careless and sluggish is distinct from simply resting. The first serious assignment for T-shirt came 6 months after he graduated. Bandits were causing havoc in border towns. 10 samurai were allocated tasks. T-shirt was the lowest ranking. His function was defined. They intended to use this to defend the right flank during their ambush. Easy, isn't it? Something he has done countless times during his academic career. Everything was set up for the ambush. Into the trap the bandits fell. However, T-shirt was taken aback by an unexpected turn of events. 3 of the bandits broke away and launched an assault on the right flank. It took Tishi's body 6 months of rust to react, but it did react. His steps were leisurely. He was perplexed by his evaluation of the issue. Kenji, an experienced samurai who had faith in T-shirt to defend that side, was attacked by a 3rd bandit before he had a chance to neutralize the first 2. Kenji's piercing cry reverberated through the woods. Long period of quiet. At the end of it all, not only were 5 bandits dead, but so was Kenji. Chapter 3. This showdown. In Tishi's life, the journey back was the longest. He could feel the weight of their stares, even though no one spoke. It wasn't an angry staircase. They were inferior. Those stares were a major letdown. Upon reaching the dojo, they found Master Yamada waiting for them. He was already aware. Word spread like wildfire. "Join me, T-shirt," he said. On their way to the Zen garden, they remained silent. Seated was the master. T-shirt didn't sit down since the assault. He couldn't have peace. The master demanded an account of events. There was no directive. It was a welcoming gesture. Every aspect, including Tishi's mistakes, was revealed. He anticipated yells upon completion. He was anticipating retribution. He was prepared to be kicked out. The following was something he was unprepared for. "Is Udan anything you've heard of before?" asked the master. "Sorry, but no. Udan means to be careless. That's when you relax your defenses. It happens when the blade is sufficiently sharp that further sharpening is unnecessary." Udan was able to eliminate more samurai than his enemies combined. Along with an ancient blade and a damp stone, the master took them up. "Behold this blade." At one time, it was breathtaking. The owner ceased using it for training, cleaning, and sharpening, even though it cut bamboo like paper. Now it's just rusty iron, ineffective and perhaps harmful to the user. The words were like blows to T-shirt. "Yes, T-shirt, you have become a samurai." However, you regarded it as fate, as if the adventure had come to a close. Udan is costly, and you've committed Udan. 4th chapter. The rules. Udan is the watchfulness philosophy. Allow me to elucidate a concept that the samurai of the Sengoku period profoundly grasped. As Master Yamada drew a circle in the Zen garden's sand, he said, "Udan is not just laziness. It's something far more dangerous. See this circle as a symbol of your attentiveness, discipline, and vigilance. In the moment that you reach a goal, this circle is ideal. You manage to maintain your concentration, but as soon as you do, the circle begins to break. Fractures, both visible and invisible. Until the day he waved his hand quickly enough to remove the circle. In an instant, it vanishes." Originating from the samurai era, the word Udan means cut break, when translated literally. It is a striking photograph. Your alertness wanes when you're comfortable, much like oil flows through your fingers unexpectedly. The master samurai strategists adhered to a strict code. According to the master, victory is the moment of greatest danger. I wonder why. When you do that, you may unwind. When you quit training as if it were your life's work and assume you already know what to do. And the harsh reality is this. Udan avoids weaklings in his attacks. He goes after the capable. Even when they've shown their worth, he still assaults them. Why? This is due to the fact that only the successful have anything to lose in the event of carelessness. You put in 3 years of training, Teshi, to be here. Graduated after 3 more months of training. You ceased, though, throughout the past 6 months. Not entirely. You continued to perform the bare minimum. because that's all it takes to remain where you are. If you want to get somewhere, it won't get you there. The master rose to his feet and met Tishi's gaze squarely. In your wildest dreams, you were a military strategist. Being unable to lead oneself makes it impossible to lead men. How can you win other people around to your side if your faith in yourself has been shattered? Following these remarks, the master proceeded to instruct him in a different philosophy that served as a remedy for Udan. Kutudin, the theory and practice of slicing. The Lord proceeded. A new urgency crept into the master's voice as he declared that there was a treatment for Udan. It was known as Ketsuden by the samurai. He carefully repaired his own katana. The midday light was still not enough to dull the blade sheen. The word Ketsuden refers to a choice, but not any choice. The kanji character for cut or separate is ketsu. The kanji character for judgment or conclusion is dan. Taken as a whole, they demarcate the gap between contemplation and engagement. He sliced through the air with ease. A sharp whisper sounded like the blade's motion. A samurai must not pause when drawing his sword into combat. Time is of the essence. What happens if I mess up? Perhaps later today. There is nothing but death between contemplation and deed. Eliminating that space is the essence of Kutudin. As he faced Tisher, the master slew his sword. At this point, you should be able to tell me what to do. Yes, ma'am. I must return to my exercise regimen. I must decline. Sounding like a katana, the master's voice sliced through the atmosphere. Udan wants you to do this very thing. You're plotting, preparing, and making promises. You have training tomorrow. Your study of strategy will begin next week. This coming month, he indicated the dojo. Tomorrow isn't Kutudin. Here we are. Training preparation is not the point. Training is the key. Knowledge is not what distinguishes a living samurai from a dead one. When moving from knowing to action, the speed is key. Then the master revealed something that would have a lifelong impact on Tisher. A youthful samurai by the name of Yoshimura fought in the Sekihara conflict to defend his lord. That was his duty, he realized. That was the moment for which he had trained his whole life. Still, he drew back in surprise as combat broke out. Only 3 seconds. While he was thinking, what if I fail? An arrow hit his lord in that brief 3-second period. Knowing that his lord's death was not due to a lack of competence, Yoshimura lived out the remainder of his brief life with this knowledge. There wasn't enough Ketsuden. After that, there was a thick stillness. Now, Tisher, you are presented with an option. Just one option. This is not a choice between training and doing nothing. I can do that. To be truly effective, one must choose between knowing what to do and actually doing it. 5th chapter. Renaissance period. Because words are meaningless without deeds, Tisher refrained from responding verbally. After standing up and bowing deeply to the master, he proceeded directly to the dojo. Nearly 6 o'clock in the afternoon was the time right then. The training session for the group was over. The dojo had no one in it. Just right. After acquiring his training sword, Tisher proceeded to learn basic cutter techniques. Those were the identical motions he had trained for in his college days. Each action now had significance, though. Udan was sliced with every slash in the sky. With every stride, we were one step closer to carelessness. The allotted hour became 2. As a result, 2 became 3. Tisher was still there the next morning, sweating and fatigued, when the other samurai showed up for training. However, with seeing eyes that hadn't visited in months, was he not asleep? A samurai approached Master Yamada and inquired. In response, the master said that he had been dormant for 6 months. He awoke today. A single training session, meanwhile, would not make up for 6 months of negligence. As Tisher was well aware, Udan is a breeze to invite, but a pain to expel. And thus he decided. He sought out Master Yamada and made an unexpected request. Please, Sensei, let me be in charge of cleaning the dojo. On a daily basis, both before and after each training session, the master would raise an eyebrow. Keeping the dojo clean was an easy chore for newcomers. Even for a seasoned samurai, it was nearly embarrassing. Just what is the purpose of your desire for this? Just in case I need a gentle nudge per day. I must be present at the time of sunrise and sunset. I must see the other trainees in action. Being fully present is something I have to work on. My dedication will be undermined if I allow it to be driven by external factors. Perhaps I can keep Udan at arm's length if I establish an external responsibility, something that other people look to me for. Yamada, the master, grinned, a smile that betrays recognition rather than joy. Do you see the picture? There isn't just one noble deed in Ketsuden. 1,000 modest actions are all it takes. The goal is to remove all room for doubt by doing away with options. Obviously, it is your responsibility to maintain the dojo. Things changed in the months that followed. Reason being, T-Shirt wasn't thrilled. He had constructed something more powerful, a structure. So the excitement came and went like the tides. He insisted on cleaning the dojo at 4:30 in the morning every single day. Be it raining or shining, healthy or not. Why? Because Ketsuden refuses to compromise no matter what. He worked on the basics while he cleaned. The tedious things that differentiate an average samurai from a deadly one. Steps, postures, breathing. T-Shirt remained for an additional hour or two after the group training session ended, studying strategy, role-playing fights, and brutally assessing his own flaws as he would an enemy's. However, everything changed on a specific day. T-Shirt was back in the gym 3 months after picking up where he left off when he recognized a voice. His right side remains vulnerable. A samurai named Hideaki was among those sent on the assignment. It was the samurai who witnessed Kenji's death at Tishi's hands. Then T-Shirt halted. He anticipated wrath. He was anticipating accusations. The following was something he was unprepared for. Here, I'll prove it to you. With a training sword in hand, Hideaki showed off a maneuver, a delicate rotation, that allowed him to keep his flank safe from repeated strikes. I learned from Kenji that he was very careful to leave no space for others to enter. If he were here, I believe he would want you to know. T-Shirt sensed a rupture within himself. Tell me why you're assisting me. Sorry, but I was unsuccessful. My failure resulted in Kenji's death. Hideaki looked T-Shirt straight in the eyes as he sheathed his weapon. Kenji once said something. He would often say, "The death of one samurai teaches more than the life of 100. If you use his death as an excuse to give up, then it was pointless. But if you use it as fuel to never fail again, then perhaps it saved not only you, but everyone you will protect in the future." It was at that moment that T-Shirt grasped something profound about Ketsuden. It was more than just behaving fearlessly. The central theme was turning suffering into achievement and setbacks into stepping stones. The finest swordsman in Japan, Miyamoto Musashi, had some advice that Master Yamada would give his students. Every drill should seem like your last, and every combat should be approached similarly. This seeming paradox is Ketsuden's crux, performing with complete calmness despite intense training. It stops being a deliberate decision since the activity is so automatic. Soon it's second nature. Takuan Soho, the Zen monk who advised many samurai, wrote in the 17th century, "A mind that hesitates is dead. A mind that flows is alive." Between the thought of attacking and the attack, there should not be room for a sheet of paper. And about Udan, the Hagakure, the famous samurai code warns, the samurai who thinks he has mastered the sword is the next to fall by the sword. 6 months later, T-Shirt received another mission, the same type, protect the flank, ambush bandits. But this time, something was different. It wasn't his movements. Technically, he'd been capable of that for a year. What was different was the absence of doubt, the absence of hesitation. When 3 bandits attacked his flank again, his body simply reacted. There was no, "Can I do it?" There was no, "What if I miss?" There was only movement, clean, precise, efficient. All the samurai returned alive. But Tishi's story didn't end with him becoming a skilled samurai. Remember his dream? Strategist commander. 2 years later, during a tense negotiation between clans, Teacher noticed something no one else had seen. An opportunity for an alliance that could prevent a bloody war. He could have remained silent. It wasn't his time to speak. He was just a young samurai. But Ketsuden doesn't ask if it's the right time. Ketsuden acts when action is necessary. Teacher spoke. He presented his analysis. He proposed the alliance, and to everyone's surprise, the leaders accepted. War was avoided. Hundreds of lives were saved. Master Yamada was present. After the meeting, he called Teacher. "Do you know what you just did?" "I just saw an opportunity and acted." Exactly. A strategist isn't someone who knows everything. It's someone who acts on what they know. Congratulations, Teacher. You finally become what you were always capable of being. So, let me ask you a question. You're not Teacher. You're not a samurai in feudal Japan. But you have your own flank to protect, don't you? That project you know you should start. That difficult conversation you need to have. That habit you know you need to change. That workout, that study session, that phone call you know what to do. The issue isn't knowledge. It never was. The question is, are you committing, Udan? Did you achieve something in the past and are now resting on your laurels? Are you waiting for the right moment that will never come? Because here is the truth that the samurai understood. The right time is now. It always has been. It always will be. Ketsuden isn't about grand, heroic decisions. It's about bridging the gap between knowing and doing. It's about eliminating internal negotiation. It's about transforming intention into action so quickly that they become indistinguishable. Teacher almost lost everything before learning this. Will you wait until you lose something precious? Or will you wake up now? Kenji's death taught Teacher that tomorrow is a promise you might not keep. Not because you don't want to, but because you might not be here tomorrow. So I challenge you. When this video ends, don't think about what you're going to do. Don't plan. Don't promise. Do one thing. One small action in the direction of what you know you need to do. Because the difference between who you are and who you can become isn't some magical future transformation. It's in the next decision, in the next move, in the next hour. Udan is waiting to put you to sleep again. Ketsuden is waiting to wake you up. The choice, as always, is yours. But remember, choosing not to choose them is already a choice, and it's usually the worst one. If this video resonated with you, subscribe to the channel for more content about Eastern philosophies that transform knowledge into action. And remember to leave a like. If you want to learn more about Eastern philosophies and concepts, watch the video that's playing on your screen right now. In it, I delve into other Japanese techniques that can completely change your understanding of various subjects. What will be your first action after watching this video? Tell me in the comments. You know what to do. Just do it. Thank you very much for your attention. See you in the next video.